Are you hungry?
Give me something good.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Görgött. Today we're cooking an easy kind of starter, and it's rice cakes with a chicken veloute and a chive oil with some toasted buckwheat and some chopped chives. But before we have a look at these ingredients, as always, please support the channel if you're not already doing so by clicking the subscribe button and checking the bell icon to get notifications. Now let's have a look here. So kind of the star of the show are the rice cakes. These are the same Korean rice cakes that you would use for a tteokbokki. That's what I'm using for this. We have our chive oil, and I'll show you how to do the chive oil. So we'll start with roughly cutting up our chives. You will see behind me there, we have a pot with some grape seed oil in it. We're warming it up to 60 degrees, and then we'll mix the oil and the chives together while we wait for the oil to heat up. So our oil is at 60 degrees. Pour it in here. And we take our mixer and we mix. You should try to mix it for about 5 minutes. And why we heat the oil is to get the aromatics out of the chives. So that's enough. Now we need to pass it through a strainer. And we're straining it into a bowl that I put on top of ice water to cool the oil down. Now, don't go pressing it, because that's going to murky it up. So we'll just let it drop through nicely without forcing it. That's enough for us. There we have our beautiful green chive oil. Easy enough, right? We have our chives, and we have some toasted buckwheat. You just do a really hot pan, nothing in it, put in the buckwheat, swirl the pan so it doesn't burn, and that's it. So I'm not going to show you yet. It's really simple. But it gives a nice crunch and almost a bit of a coffee taste to it. And we have our chicken veloute. And that's already done, but I'll show you how I did it. These are the ingredients we need for our chicken veloute. We have a chicken stock here. I have to admit, I've run out of my own chicken stock. But if you want to know how to make your own chicken stock, I'll put the link to the episode here. But I've used bought chicken stock, but it's a really nice quality chicken stock. You can see, hopefully you can see. It's like a paste almost. Now you have to be careful how they've kind of salted the stock. You need to taste it to see if you need to add a lot of salt or not. But we have our chicken stock here. We have some butter, some white pepper, and some vinegar. And that's all we need for our kind of chicken veloute. It's not a classical veloute because that you make with a roux, so flour and butter. We're just making it with butter. And then we're tasting or flavoring with vinegar and white pepper. But we'll move over to the stove for that. As you can see, we brought our chicken stock to a boil. We add some of the butter. And whisk that in. And now we need to reduce this a little bit so that it gets to the right consistency. And once it's at the right consistency, we'll add a little bit of the vinegar and some of the white pepper to make sure that it tastes great. So I turned it down to 1 now. It doesn't look like it, but it will cool. Give it a quick taste. And what I decided to add, I'm adding a little bit of fish sauce. And it's a Portuguese fish sauce. But it kind of does the same trick as an Asian fish sauce. Add a bit of umami to it. We add a couple of turns on the white pepper mill. And we add a little bit of our vinegar. Just a dash to get more complexity to the sauce. Taste it again. That's perfect. I mean, that's the thing with everything, right? Add what you think tastes good and what you think makes the sauce taste better. So for me, I use this bought chicken stock in this case, some fish sauce, some white pepper and some vinegar. And I think that tastes great. And as you can see, this is a lighter sauce compared to the kind of classical chicken veloute, which is made with roux. It's a bit thicker, a bit creamier. But for what I'm making today, I want it like this. Now we just keep that warm. So now you've seen the chive oil, you've seen the chicken veloute, you've seen all the ingredients. It's time to kind of assemble the dish by starting with the rice cakes in the frying pan. But before I can put them in the frying pan, for this dish, I want them half the size. So just take a scissor, or you can take a knife and cut them in half. And do that with all of them, and then we'll meet by the stove. So we put our pan on medium heat. We add a little bit of oil. You can see our chicken veloute in the background. Just keep them warm. You can also see that we cut all our rice cakes in half. And we put in our rice cakes. Now we don't want them to color, that's why we're doing it on medium heat. We just leave them on there now. We just want them to get hot and soft. Our tteokbokki or our rice cakes are ready. You can see just by squeezing on them, they're really soft now. Before they were very hard. And you see they haven't gotten a lot of color. So medium heat, at least for me, is the trick to this. Now we take our chicken veloute and we just pour that over. And now we're ready to plate. So we're ready to plate this up. We have our rice cakes and the chicken veloute. We have our chives chopped, our toasted buckwheat, and our chive oil. But before we do this, if you stuck with this part, there must have been something you like. So please support me and this channel by hitting that thumbs up button below. Just click it. Now, let's plate this up. Get a bit of extra sauce on that. Now let's get some of our chive oil. This is a great addition. Might not look like much, but it really adds a lot of flavor to the dish. And some more chives, because it looks nicer and it tastes good. And our toasted buckwheat. Gives it a nice crunch and a nice toastiness. There we are. Is that not a beautiful dish? Now let's get in here, get some sauce, some rice cake, some oil. This is a taste explosion. Now, these rice cakes, normally you find them in Korean food, but they don't only have to be used for that. It tastes great like this. One thing to consider is that the chicken veloute needs to be very powerful, so quite a lot of salt. It shouldn't be over salted, but it needs a lot of salt because the rice cakes themselves don't have a lot of taste. So you need that power from the sauce. And there the chive oil helps as well. It helps as well. It has this nice kind of sharpness to it. I've always loved tteokbokki. And this dish, I can't take credit for it because I ate it somewhere else lately. But it's a great way of kind of getting part of a tteokbokki feel, but more with European flavors, and it works great together. So thank you, Nenad, for cooking this. I'm not sure it's exactly like he does it. Probably not, but it tastes really good, and it's relatively simple to make. So do give it a try. Now, as always, at this stage of the episode, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do me the favor, click that subscribe button and check the bell icon to get notifications. Well, that's it for this time. All that's left now is to say goodbye. So thank you very much. Bye-bye.